Representative from Brazil, Ambassador Maria Fonetel Reis, who's the Undersecretary General for Political Affairs and BRICS Sherpa for Brazil. Sitting next to her is Ambassador at Large, Mr. Vadim Lukov, who's the Deputy Representative of the President of Russia in the G8 and Russian Foreign Affairs Sous-Sherpa for BRICS. Welcome to you. You've met our Minister, Maite Nkoana-Mashabane, Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, and next to her we have the Ambassador from India, Pinak Ranjan Chakravarti, who's from the Ministry of External Relations and BRICS Sherpa for India. And sitting next to me here is Mr. Jiang Jun, who's the Director General, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the BRICS Sous-Sherpa for the People's Republic of China. Welcome to all of you. Thank you very much for joining us, and we certainly look forward to hearing your thoughts about what BRICS means for your people and also collectively as a grouping. Minister, I wonder if I can perhaps hijack just for a couple of minutes, because whilst we're talking about BRICS, an unfortunate development has taken place in the Central African Republic. And perhaps if I could just get your immediate thoughts on the developments that have taken place. There's been a loss of life, South African soldiers included, I believe.
Well, I'm sure the Minister of Defense and the President will speak to that matter. But we really would want to pass a message of condolences in advance for the loss of life that has occurred in this very unfortunate situation. But I think what I should say is that the march for democracy, peace, security, and development in Africa should not be stopped, should remain unstoppable. And we should, all of us, work together as African leaders to make sure that we put a stop against coups, against unnecessary loss of life, so that we can focus on the most important things that all Africans are yearning for: peace, security, and development for all. For fellow South Africans, as we say, there's no way that we can, on our own, be able to build high walls that will shield us against our own neighborhood. Even though it's tough at times, we need to continue to soldier on, painful as it may be at times, to continue building on the African agenda of peace, security, and development.
We believe that President Francois Bozizé has fled perhaps to neighboring Chad. We're not sure where he is. Do you have any idea where he is? And as far as South Africa is concerned, is he still the recognized president of the country? What does it mean in terms of talking to the rebels that have taken over?
Well, reality is that the South African government, the African Union leadership still have to reflect and get full details on this matter for us to be able to respond appropriately. One thing I do know for sure is that there's also a responsibility, first and foremost, to give the leadership in that region, ECAS, or Central African region, a say in the matter. South Africans were there as per the mandate they got, or we got, from the bilateral agreement we've signed with the then government of the Central African Republic, to do one thing: to help them train and capacitate a professional army, because that's what Africa needs. As to what should be said finally, there should be proper consultation which continue to negate coups. Proper consultation with the regional body, with the AU, and all involved member countries in this matter.
All right, and finally, one of the demands of the rebels is that South African troops should leave the country. Are we going to bring our troops home?
I'm sure, Peter, you're asking a question that shouldn't be answered at the moment.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay, we'll leave it there for the time being. Let's get back to the issue at hand, which is the BRICS summit. And I think let's start with you now that we've started this conversation. What are your expectations at the end of day 2, 27th, Minister Maite Nkoana-Mashavane? What are your expectations that will come out of this gathering?
My expectations is that we should have a very positive eThekwini declaration of the 5th BRICS summit, that which says we have completed the first cycle of a series of summits and reflect on the achievements, and then also map out the way forward as to where do we want to see BRICS in the next coming 5 years. And South Africa works together with other BRICS member countries, in particular the next host, Brazil, and other member countries of BRICS, to continue to work on the agenda of BRICS. Primarily the outcomes emanating from the eThekwini Declaration is informed by the Delhi Declaration, is informed by the Sanya Declaration before then. Key quick outcomes, the possibility and the space that has been confirmed even by World Bank, that there is space for a BRICS-led new development bank, to the launch of the Business Council that should continue to play the adversary role to governments, but also to envision where do we want to take our economies in the future. The BRICS Think Tank Council, which should say to our leaders, BRICS academics, BRICS thinkers, should help us think through BRICS thinkers as to where do we want to take the future of BRICS countries and other developing countries, so that maybe we stop thinking through the others on how we should think about ourselves. As I may quicken to say also that I think one of the key things that we should look at is how we communicate with each other, or continue to communicate our own message on what we are doing, so that we don't live on borrowed ropes to then communicate our messages. But we do that through our own means, because I think we now have requisite technologies in our own respective countries to be able to communicate our own messages. Lastly, to make sure that we deal with the triple challenges. From South Africa's side, we think the best way to enhance our national interests is to make sure that we also speak for the continent, speak with the continent, but also deal with the common challenge that we have in all our countries of inequity, of unemployment, and how we have sustainable growth in all our countries working together.
All right. Ambassador Reyes, you're an original BRIC member, and a lot of people are saying that the only reason this grouping came together is to stand up to other Western nations. Is this why this group came together? Why is there a need for another grouping, another economic gathering, as it were?
Well, for Brazil, BRICS has a very special interest, because BRICS brings together 4 important strategic partners of Brazil, each one in a different region, countries with which we have excellent bilateral relations, with which we share values, we share challenges, and with which we have excellent bilateral relations and a very dense bilateral agenda. So for us, it was very natural to establish this partnership, putting together important countries, emerging countries that have a growing voice in international affairs. So BRICS is very important for us also as a platform.
Are you suggesting that you'll have a collective voice? Because all of the things you've described you could have done just by bilaterals. Is there going to be a collective BRICS voice? Is that how you see it?
Certainly we do. Together, we form an important platform to promote the updating and the strengthening of the multilateral institutions, be them political or economic. Our voice together is important in G20. Since 2012, last year, we have been having BRICS summits, also in the context of the G20 summits, in order to coordinate our positions in this important forum of economic cooperation. So, thanks to our collective voice, I believe we were able to achieve a reform of the IMF, an agreement on the reform of IMF in the Seoul summit back in 2010. I'm sure that the individual voice of one country would not have been enough to reach such an important agreement.
Okay. Ambassador Lukov, one of the aims of BRICS is to achieve peace, security, development, and cooperation, and aims that contribute to the development of humanity and establishing a more equitable and fair world order. My question to you is, we have the United Nations.